Hey there everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel and I am doing some watercoloring today, although I know it doesn't look like it so far. I've decided to start a new project and honestly, I am not a good gardener. I have never managed to have a successful garden at all, but I'm gonna try, I guess. I thought maybe I wouldn't try this year because I have so many things going on with work and I'm going back to school and I'm trying to do this whole art thing and I've got a teenager and it's just kind of crazy. But with all the negativity and ick going on right now, I felt like maybe I really needed to try this garden thing again. And I thought maybe one way to keep myself more on track and to keep up with it a little bit better would be to not only start a garden, but also start a watercolor journal kind of documenting my progress. And you might be hearing in the background my dog's having a wrestling match, and I do apologize for that, but I'm trying to do this voiceover really quick because I have so much homework to do tonight, and this is just the way that it's got to be today. So I'm really sorry about that, but just bear with me. Most of this is pretty self-explanatory. Today I'm just starting some seeds. Basically, I'm going to try a bunch of different things in my garden this year, and I was sorting through all the seeds that I have just to see what things would be best to start indoors. Some things I guess do better if you just start them outdoors. So I am going to start a couple of different plants. I'm going to start my strawberries, my leeks, my cabbage, yellow onion, cauliflower, and eggplant. So basically that's it. And here I am just starting in my journal. I have this water pen filled with India ink. And I did it that way because I like to be able to get a nice, loose, thick line that I can vary quite a bit. I think it looks a little bit more doodly and sketchy, and I really want this to be a very loose journal. I honestly am not the best at doing really doodly things because I like to be very meticulous when I paint, but I'm trying to loosen up, and I want this to be more like a daily practice, something that I can just do really quick to kind of document my progress, what I did that day, kind of how it was. So I think that putting some of that loose ink into a water pen like this will help me achieve that. And right now I'm basically just going to document where I'm putting all of the seeds, because one issue that I have is, being that I wouldn't even consider myself a novice gardener, not even like a hobby gardener. I am an inept gardener. And one of my problems is that I start these plants, and even though I always put the little label in them, I still somehow manage to forget what is planted where. And when things start sprouting, they all look the same to me and I can't tell them apart. And I don't know how to take care of them properly, or where to plant them, or how much space they need. I'm really not good at this. So here is me trying to make it fun too, and trying to make it a little bit more visual. And also, I have been really influenced by a book that I've been reading recently. I might do a review on that. I know I've said I was going to do some other book reviews and I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but I do plan to do some book reviews. Some books that I would recommend for anyone who just loves to read and learn new things about art. So I can't remember the title of that book, but I might just put it in the description of this video if you're curious before I get around to reviewing it. But it's basically on how to start a journal for observing nature and the things around you. And I think that's really appealing to me because, as with anybody, my life gets really hectic. I always feel like there's just not enough time to sit and make a journal page or even just a quick sketch. I always struggle with black and white thinking, where I think if I don't have time to sit down and do a whole complete painting, then what's the point? So I really want to get myself out of that, and I want to spend more time outside, and I really want this garden to be successful. So I am now ready to put in some seeds into these little pods. Basically, these little pods, I like them a lot. I used them last year, and I did actually have more success last year than I have had in the previous years, because I finally figured out how to really start my seeds, and I never know exactly when to start them. It seems so specific, and it seems different for every single type of seed that you want to plant. So I find it a little bit overwhelming, but you know what? I'm doing this on March 30th, and that's that. So these little pods are great. They come compacted and very dry, and so to soften them up, you just pour some water onto them and they kind of expand. And then you just drop your seeds into the soil that you loosen up. And then I use just a chopstick to kind of loosen up the soil and then lightly cover the seeds. And the trick that I found is that I got some clear bins. What do you call those big bins that you just store junk in? But I bought them specifically for gardening. I made sure that they were clear, and I kind of use them to cover up my starter seeds, especially in this time of year when it is warm one day, it's freezing one day, it's snowing, it's raining, there's tornadoes. It's kind of just a crazy time of the year here in Nebraska and throughout the plains. So one thing that I can do to kind of protect my new seeds is just to give them a slight greenhouse effect by covering them with a clear bin. So that's what I did last year, and things grew so nicely. And then I actually went to transplant them to the ground, and the very first night, some rabbits broke in and took all of it. It was just, there was nothing there. The next day I came back and I looked at it, and it was like I questioned whether I had even planted anything at all, because there was literally nothing in my garden. And I have a fence around my garden, and I thought that was good enough, but it is not. Bunnies can squeeze through just about anything. So I have to try to get some chicken wire to put around my fence, and I really hope that that keeps those bunnies out. I'm going to put some plants and vegetables in containers this year as well, just for safe measure. Oh, and also last year I did some crack key hydroponic things, and those actually did work out really well, so I'm going to do more of those in another video. I really like to grow leafy greens like spinach, kale. Those things did really well, and probably some herbs as well. And then the larger things I'll put in the ground, like my pumpkins. I'm going to plant some sweet corn, sunflowers, things that are kind of indestructible. And I also found out that there is a flower called nasturtium that bunnies don't like, so I'm going to be planting that in my garden as well to see if that will keep them away. We just have so many rabbits around here, and they are cute and adorable until you realize that they're going to eat all your food. And I kind of feel bad because bunnies got to eat too, right? Maybe I need to start just a special bunny garden in someone else's yard, though, not in my yard. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. So basically what I'm doing today is not, I guess, super exciting as far as the painting process goes, because I basically mapped out all of these little pods in my journal, and then I am just kind of doodling in what the seeds roughly look like. They're all very small and circular. They are kind of in different colors, so that's the only place that I was really adding color. And I kind of like the idea of this journal starting out mostly ink, black and white, and then as things are growing and sprouting, then, you know, I see the journal getting much more colorful. So I kind of like the idea of that progression, but it's still a little bit tricky to think about starting a watercolor journal that for the most part is black and white. So I went ahead later on and just added some splashes of color elsewhere, and I added some hatch marks just to make it a little bit less plain. But this is great, I think, because it sort of serves as a map of where I planted everything, so it'll be a little bit easier for me to remember. And then my plan is to kind of document how everything is growing, and maybe that will help me learn to identify plants a little bit better and know better how to grow them, I hope. It was kind of funny because the strawberry seeds and the seeds for the cauliflower, they weren't the actual just like seeds in these packets. They were like little capsules of seeds. So they were these little pink pellets, and I'm pretty sure that they're just full of really tiny seeds because strawberry seeds are definitely not round pink pellet shaped things. And I've never planted cauliflower before, so I don't really know what those seeds look like. But the color scheme, which I know you can't see very well here, it was kind of funny because all the seeds were different colors from one another, and I didn't know what they were going to look like. Again, I'm not a gardener at all, so I opened up these packets and it was a total surprise, but I was really happy that they were kind of varied. So I got a little bit more visual interest in that sense because they weren't all just like little brown pellets, which is, I guess, what I was expecting as a person who doesn't garden or doesn't garden well. This is probably my millionth year of trying to have a garden, and I just have a feeling it's going to work out this time because I'm going to go outside every day and pay attention to it. Oh, another problem that I have is I can't tell the difference between a weed and a plant that's supposed to be there. And I know when I tell people that, they look at me like I'm insane. Like, how can you not know what your plants look like and what a weed would look like? But I really don't. So I'm always afraid to pull a weed out because I'm afraid it might be a plant that I want. All right, so here is the plastic bin I was telling you about. That's just the lid. So I'm just setting this tray on that lid, and then I cover this up, but I allow there to be some gap at the bottom so that lots and lots of oxygen can get in. All right, so that's it, and I hope that you enjoyed this, and maybe you'll decide to join me. Just make sure that you don't take any gardening advice from me, and if you see me doing something stupid, feel free to let me know. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm constantly watching YouTube videos on gardening, and I have to admit, it doesn't all soak in so very well. So I'm trying. I would love your advice, and I would love to see your sketches. I guess that's it for today, so I hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye!